Good morning, students. I welcome you all in the revision class of chapter Breathing and Exchange of Gases. As we have completed this chapter in the previous classes, now today it is a revision class and I'm going to recapitulate or a quick revision of chapter. Breathing and exchange of gases. This chapter deals with the respiratory process. If we want to explain that what is respiration, so respiration is not only breathing, it is a breathing plus cellular respiration. Two processes are involved in this. Breathing means pulmonary ventilation or inhalation and exhalation of oxygen and carbon dioxide, plus utilization of this oxygen to produce energy and produce as a byproduct carbon dioxide, cellular respiration. Respiration is a mechanical as well as chemical process, where breathing is a mechanical process and cellular respiration is a chemical process. And there are number of respiratory organs are present on this earth in different group of organisms. First of all, I'm going to explain the sponges platform, where they are exchanging surface is their entire body. Their entire body act as a respiratory surface to exchange the gases. Earthworm, that is respire through cuticle, through skin. Frog respire through skin when in hibernation. This type of respiration is also known as cutaneous respiration. Insects having tracheal system where a set of tubes or tracheal tubes are there that allows the movement of gases in the body. Fishes, they are respire through gills, and this type of respiration is called branchial respiration. And terrestrial organisms having pulmonary respiration, that is presence of lungs. After this, I'm going to explain the system of there is a particular system in human for respiration, and this is the system that is shown in the figure. If we see it starts from the nasal cavity. See, it starts from the nasal cavity, nostrils that allows the air to enter, nasal cavity having mucus and the hair to filter the air to trap the pathogens and dust particles. Then it leads to pharynx, the last part of the mouth and nose. This is the pharynx, where oral cavity and nasal cavity and the tubes from ear connected. Pharynx leads to a windpipe that is known as trachea. One sound box or voice box is there, larynx, which is with this box having vocal cords that helps to produce the sound. Windpipe having one cartilaginous flap on glottis. On glottis, there is one cartilaginous flap that is known as epiglottis. It protects, or we can say it covers the trachea or windpipe when we are swallowing, so the food particles cannot able to enter into the windpipe. After this tube that run through the chest cavity is called trachea, windpipe, provided with a C-shaped rings, cartilaginous rings, as it prevents the trachea from collapsing when there is no air in it. Then this trachea divides into two branches, left bronchus and right bronchus, which enter into their respective lungs. And these bronchi further divided into many branches, primary bronchioles, then divide into secondary bronchioles, then tertiary bronchioles, and finally opens into a balloon-like structures. Millions of these structures present in each lung, it is known as alveoli. They are the exchanging surfaces where exchange of gases takes place, because they are rich in blood vessels and they increases the surface area. And each lung is covered by a double membrane that is known as pleural membrane, and it is filled with pleural fluid, which helps to protect the lungs from mechanical shock. Muscular partition, diaphragm is there. Ribs, if see the location of the system, ribs protect the system. These ribs are joined at ventral side with the chest bone sternum, and on back they are attached with the vertebral column. So this is all about the system. if we inhale the air, these all parts are conducting parts only, that conduct the air. Only this alveoli are the exchanging surfaces. So the system having two parts, conducting part which helps to conduct the air, all parts, nostrils, nasal passage, then this trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, primary, secondary, tertiary bronchioles, all are conducting parts, and alveoli are the exchanging part where actual exchange of gases takes place. So this is all about the system existing in humans to carry out the process of respiration. Now, respiration process involves the following 5 steps. One is breathing, where pulmonary ventilation is done. It means there is exchange of gases. Carbon dioxide is expelled out and oxygen is taken. Second step is diffusion of gases at alveolar or at lung surface. This diffusion occurs at two levels, one at the surface of lungs, alveoli, and one at the level of tissues, where the exchange between blood and tissues. Then these gases are transported by blood in different forms. They reaches to the tissues to carry out the process of respiration. And this is the utilization of oxygen for cellular respiration. This we will study in the coming chapter. So 4 steps we have to read in this chapter. So I'll start with the breathing process, that is pulmonary ventilation, that includes two processes, inhalation and exhalation, and this is done with the help of pressure gradient difference. As there is a difference in the pressure, if the pressure in lungs or intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmosphere, so the air moves from outside to inside the lungs. And if the pressure in the intra pulmonary pressure or pressure in lungs is more, so the air move from here to outside, as this pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. And how this process is or mechanism going on, this going on with the help of 3 structures. One is chest bone, sternum. Second is ribs, that allows the with the help of intercostal muscles, special set of muscles that allows the ribs to move or lift up, and diaphragm, that muscular partition that allows the uh, change in the size of the thoracic cavity or thoracic chamber. If we see here in the process of inhalation, that these diaphragm contracted and ribs and sternum raised. Ribs lift up and sternum, the chest bone also. So chest bone increases the chest cavity from dorsoventral side, and diaphragm when contracted, it increases the size of the chest cavity anterior posteriorly. So in this way, the chest cavity size, volume increase, pulmonary volume increases, so the air which is present in it, intrapulmonary pressure decreases, that allows the air to forcefully come inside. The reverse process takes place here. Diaphragm, sternum, ribs, all again relaxed and reaches to its normal position. So there is a reduction in the size, in the volume of the thorax cavity. So high the pressure going to be high, intrapulmonary pressure is high as compared to this atmospheric pressure. So the air forcefully goes out. This is how the process of inhalation and exhalation take place. 3 structures are always there that allows this type of exchange, create the pressure gradient by diaphragm, sternum, chest bone, and rib muscles, special set of muscles. After this, we have discussed about the respiratory volumes. There are spirometers, special instrument which is used by doctors to measure or to assess the pulmonary volumes and capacities. Pulmonary capacities are calculated on the basis of pulmonary volume. So first is tidal volume. Tidal volume is that air which is inspired or expired during normal respiration. It is 6,000 to 8,000 without any force. Inspiratory reserve volume, that can person inspire air with forceful inspiration. It is 2,500 to 3,000 ml. Expiratory, that is forcefully what the amount of air the person can expire, and this is about 1000 to 1100 ml, and residual volume, the volume of air that is always remaining in our lungs even after a forceful expiration, and this is 1100 to 1200 ml, and this volume allows the continuous exchange of gases without any pause. With the help of these volumes, if we are adding different volumes, we can calculate the pulmonary capacities for clinical diagnosis. Inspiratory capacity, total volume of air person can inspire after normal expiration. So this is tidal volume plus IRV. The formula is tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. Expiratory, similarly, tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. These two parameters, volumes included in this. For functional residual capacity, that the total amount of air that will remain in the lungs after normal expiration, not forcefully, normal expiration. So RV is there and ERV, expiratory reserve volume, both are total. Now, vital capacity is the maximum volume of air that can a person breathe after a forced expiration. So it includes all three, TV, IRV and ERV. And if we added that remaining volume, that is residual volume in this, we can get the total lung capacity. So you have to learn the formulas to calculate the capacities. Now the next is how the exchange of gases takes place. Exchange of gases takes place at two levels. One is at the level of lungs, or one at the level of tissues. Two type of circulation is there: pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Air passes from lungs to heart and heart to lungs, that is pulmonary circulation, and when heart to organs and organs to heart, that is systemic circulation. Exchange always takes place with the help of diffusion process, and this diffusion occurs according to the partial pressure of the gas. Partial pressure means that particular pressure, individual pressure created by a individual gas when there is a mixture of gases. So partial pressure, oxygen partial pressure 104, high as compared to the blood here. So oxygen easily move or diffuse from alveolar air to the blood. So blood carry this oxygenated blood reaches to the heart, heart to organ. Here the partial pressure of oxygen is less in tissues, that is 40 mmHg. So in blood it is 95 mmHg. So automatically high partial pressure to low oxygen can move in the tissue, where it is utilized for cellular respiration, production of energy, and production of carbon dioxide, which is released as partial pressure of carbon dioxide in tissue is 45, and it is in blood it is 40. So we can say that carbon dioxide easily move here, then goes through this in the heart, heart to here, and here the partial pressure in deoxygenated blood is 45, here 40. So it moves out or diffuses into the alveolar air, where it is expelled out. So this is the process to explain the exchange of gases. After this exchange at two level, these gases are transported, and these gases are transported via a particular way. But before that, this diagram indicate the alveoli oxygen diffusion and carbon dioxide diffusion. Alveoli diffusion 100 mmHg in lungs. So here it is 40, so diffusion here, then 100 here, 40. So again diffusion enter into the tissues, and then again available to get the oxygen. Here again CO2 40 mmHg here and 46, so it move out, and here 40 mmHg is the partial pressure here, and in tissues it is 46 mmHg, so it comes out, CO2 comes out from the tissues through blood, it reaches to the alveoli. So this is according to the partial pressure. This is the structure of diffusion membrane, how the exchange takes place through the membrane. There is a particular structure of this diffusion membrane. This membrane is formed by three structure. One is the layer of alveoli, it is a squamous epithelium, one celled layer. Second, the endothelial single celled membrane of blood capillaries, and then a substance, basement substance present in between. So it is less than millimeter, very thin membrane that allows the exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide from alveolar air to blood cells. Now, how these gases transported? Oxygen, majorly 97% oxygen transported via in the form of oxyhemoglobin at the surface of lung, where partial pressure of oxygen is more. This hemoglobin, red pigment present in RBC, binds with the hemoglobin that forms the oxyhemoglobin. It is a reversible reaction, and if we see at the tissue level where O2 concentration is low, this hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin, break down to form the oxygen and hemoglobin, and very few amount, 3% of oxygen is carried by blood plasma. Then if we see the transport of carbon dioxide, 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported by RBCs in the form of carbaminohemoglobin, where carbon dioxide bind with hemoglobin and forms the carbaminohemoglobin, which is formed at tissue level, and where the carbon dioxide partial pressure is low, that favors the at the surface of lung this carb amino hemoglobin breakdown to release the carbon dioxide in the lungs. 70% of carbon dioxide is carried out with the help of bicarbonate ion. If we see that this is the reaction, carbon dioxide plus water, uh, with the help of this enzyme is present in RBCs, carbonic anhydrase, and this shows the power 6 lakh molecules per second produced by this enzyme as it accelerates the rate of reaction. This is carbonic acid, a same enzyme converted into bicarbonate ions and hydrogen ions. Carbon dioxide binding is also according to the partial pressure of the gases, high partial pressure at the level of this tissue. This at tissue level, PCO2 is high, PO2 is low, so it allows this reaction to bind with this forms the reaction carbonic acid, but at alveolar surface this is reverse reaction. This bicarbonate ion hydrogen ion forms the carbonic acid, and finally carbon dioxide and water, which is released outside the body. So if we see the transport, carbon dioxide enter diffused into blood according to partial pressure from tissues to blood. Here it forms the carbonic acid with the help of enzyme carbonic anhydrase in RBCs, formed bicarbonate ions that are released, or reaction is reversed at the surface of alveoli. This is how oxygen enter into the blood. RBCs having hemoglobin, these binds with in the form of oxyhemoglobin and releases at the level of tissues. This is the type of circulation: pulmonary circulation, systemic circulation, air enter, oxygen, oxygenated blood, heart to organs, where it is utilized for cellular respiration, and carbon dioxide is released. Deoxygenated blood first comes to the heart to lungs, at the surface of lungs, where CO2 is released in alveoli and outside the body through the process of exhalation. Now, regulation of this system is regulated under neural control. We have specific centers in our brain that can modulate or that can maintain our respiratory rhythm. Humans having the capacity to change, as we can breathe faster, we can breathe low. Accordingly, according to the body demands, body tissue, we can manage this. And this is done with the help of special center which are present in medulla and pons. In medulla, respiratory rhythmic centers are primarily responsible, and the second center is situated in the pons, that is known as pneumotaxic centers, that gives the signal to the rhythmic center or medulla to change the rhythm, and it reduces the duration of inspiration and we breathe faster. So in this way we can alter the respiratory rate. There is chemosensitive area also near this rhythmic center that sends the carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration in body. If there is an increase in the concentration, the signal goes to the chemosensitive areas that send the signal to the respiratory rhythmic center that make the necessary adjustment. This is the detail of the that regulatory system. This is pons, pneumotaxic center is here. This is medulla, where rhythmic centers, major rhythmic center is there, divided into dorsal and ventral respiratory group. These are the nerves that are connected with the ribs, intercostal muscles and diaphragms that alter the activity, so pons and medulla aggregate to form the change the rhythm of the breathe. This is the actual position. This is brain, structure of brain. This is the brain stem or the hindbrain, where a pneumotaxic center is there, apneustic center area is there. Both helps to give the signal to the medullary rhythmic area. This is medulla oblongata, where these two inspiratory and expiratory reserves areas are there. Nerves are also connected from ribs into sternum, from diaphragm, so that helps to control. So it is a neural control on our system. Now at last I am coming to the different disorders which are related to the respiratory system, in which first is asthma, that difficult in breathing, causing wheezing due to inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles. This is caused due to dust, mites, many allergens, pollen grains, that can cause the irritation in the respiratory tract, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles. So there is a excess production of mucus, blockage in the alveoli, so lack of oxygen or exchange of gases. Second disorder is emphysema, that is the chronic disorder of cigarette smokers, where respiratory surface, that diffusion membrane is choked due to deposition of tar or the smoke from tobacco. So that causes the loosening or of flexibility of the alveolar walls, alveolar membranes. So there is a less exchange of gases. So all cigarette smokers having lack of oxygen in their body, there is increase in the carbon monoxide content, number of further consequences related to this disorder. Now the last is occupational respiratory disorders. These disorders are those which are occur in person due to his or her occupation, like in stone grinding industries, then stone crushers, then in cotton industry, wool industry, where some in stone industry, let's take this example, stone industry crushers, that sand having silica, so silica particles can enter into the system, respiratory system, causes lung development of nodules and carcinomas, lung cancers, number of diseases. This disease is called the silicosis. Then asbestosis is there as an example of occupational hazard. Occupational hazard, that asbestosis, that the disease of persons working in the cotton industry or wool industry, because of inhalation of fiber in the system, causes the damage. Long exposure can give the inflammation, fibrosis, there are nodule formation, carcinomas, lung damage. So we can prevent cement industry also having these type of diseases, disorders. So these diseases can be prevented by using preventive measures like wearing protective mask and time to time checkup. So this is all about the chapter respiration or breathing and exchange of gases. I hope everything is clear, revise properly, so you can do well in your exams. Thank you.